Okay, hi everyone! Welcome to my brand new video. In this video, I am going to be covering something I've barely talked about on my channel. And actually, I barely spoke about it on any of my channels, actually. So I barely spoke about it on Twitch, YouTube, or really Instagram. I barely spoke about this. So what I'm going to be doing today in this video, I'm going to be talking about how I transitioned. Because the way I transitioned, the way I explored my gender identity is probably very common, if that makes sense. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how I discovered it in this video. So the way I did it, way I discovered it was I was so in about I think it's 2018. Actually, we can check. Let me just check my eBay because I bought a costume on eBay. Because one of the first costumes I bought was Bioshock, Liz. Sure. I can't seem to find it anymore. It's not showing up on my list. But yeah, so one of the first costumes I ever did was the Bioshock Liz outfit, which I actually did the corset Liz first over the student Liz, because I actually did end up doing the student Liz in 2019, I think. So yeah, and so I started exploring using cosplay over anything else because it was a really easy way to hide it from people, if that makes sense. Because so it is a really easy way to hide it and not have to explain why I have stuff like a corset, like, is it a petticoat? It's not, like a petticoat and that. It was just one easy way because I say it was a cosplay, which it was at that point, but I really got into that. And then after doing that one, I found out there was a group, like a cosplay group near where I live. I went to that a few times. I never really did the female. I didn't do the Bioshock Liz one there because the Bioshock Liz one's there is a very awkward one to carry around because it's very heavy. It's very big and poofy, and so when I went there, I talked to other people, and one thing I actually did was at one of the events, I actually ordered the Bioshock Liz student one, which is a lot easier to do for me because at that time, because all I needed was a wig and stuff like that. Got the costume, and I only ever wore it at that event, but it always felt good wearing that event. But this isn't the first time I'd been doing this stuff. I'd been exploring throughout when I was younger, but when I was younger, this was like I was born in the early 90s, where this wasn't very really talked about. And it's only been in the past 10 years where things have been a lot more pronounced with the LGBT side of things. And with that, it's one of those things where it's just like, how do you describe it? It felt right, but at that point, I really didn't know about trans stuff and stuff like that. And it was only when I started working, when I started doing stuff like streaming in 20. I think I started streaming on Twitch in 29, late 2019. And then then obviously what happened in 2020. Because yeah, in 2020, I actually went to one of my first conventions dressed as my Bioshock student, Liz. And that was a lot of fun. Because I actually had to go out actually in the costume. I couldn't get ready at the convention, if that makes sense. Because this was one of the conventions where I couldn't get changed. Then it was like 2020 happened, COVID. I started exploring a lot more, started looking into it, and I started seeing a lot more things actually adding up, if that makes sense, through when you hear other people's transition stories. Such as, even when I was a kid, things still didn't feel right, if that makes sense, with how I felt. And I kept that under wraps for about till 20, because I didn't come out to my parents till about 22. Yeah, 2022, February 2022. Because in February 2022, I applied to go with gender care. So in the UK, there's a few companies. There's stuff like Gender Care, London Transition Clinic, Gender GP, and stuff like that. So I did my research, and it went down to about 2 different clubs, well, 2 different venues. It was either go with Gender GP, which, yes, is cheaper. However, it comes with its own set of issues. Which I am actually going to be going into more in depth on why I chose to go with Gender Care over Gender GP, and I'm really glad I went with Gender Care, because I got seen really quick with them. Normally there's about a 6-month waiting list to see some of the doctors, because all the doctors with Gender Care are GPs in the UK, and that was one of the main factors I chose to go with Gender Care, because with them all being UK recognized, all NHS doctors, I think all of them are NHS doctors, they just moonlight privately. I was able to get my share care agreement, which I'm really, really grateful now, because yeah. So it did. The only downside to going with Gender Care, which I found, is it can be pricey at the start. It is something around, I believe when I joined up, it was like a £300 buy-in. Well, not buy-in. That's a really bad wording. £300 appointment for your diagnosis. And I know Gender Care has like blanket prices on certain things, and I think they all roughly save around prices. Same thing. So in February, I think I applied January to get with Gender Care, And then within about 4 weeks, because I was lucky there was a cancellation, I got saw by Dr. Lorimer. He's really great, he's really sweet, and really nice person to go with. But he's very busy. He's very busy, obviously, because he's recommended by a lot of people. We sat down. We had like an hour-long interview talking about our experiences, what made me think I was trans. We went over the past. So stuff like, have I ever done cross-dressing before, which I had in the past. How long was I dressing in more of my feminine side, which was due to during 2020 and 2021, I was doing most of my streams with stuff like makeup, wig, when I didn't have when my hair was really short. So I think when I started 2020, my hair was only actually about the same length as here. But by the end of 2023, no, by the like mid 2023, my hair was already down to here. And at that point, I didn't need wigs. I just needed haircuts. But yeah, so how long had I been doing it for? And at that point, I'd been dressing more feminine for like 2 years. Most of my wardrobe is feminine. Yeah, I have a lot more skirts than dresses, because I prefer skirts over dresses, because I have issues with my shoulders, because trying to find a cosplay that fits is so hard, or I end up having to buy 2 of them if like there's a top and a bottom. So like, how long have I doing it? Did I have like a support system? Because it's like, I now talk with, at the current moment, I talk in different Discords, because there's like people who I talk to as people who are friends in the streaming community, and there's also another Discord I talk into, but I'm not going to go into which Discord that is, because that Discord is it's like an exclusive Discord for trans and crossdressers, so I'm not going to go into it. That's like a support group. Hopefully I am going to start learning more about feminizing my voice, which is hard to do, because it is one of those things that gets to me at times. But yeah, at that point, so roughly around, actually I think it was roughly around 2020 where I discovered the name, where I started using the name Jesse online a lot more. So for those who don't know, Jesse actually comes from Jesse Faden from Control, because ever since Control's come out, I've actually loved Control, because it makes a lot more sense to me, if that makes sense. I love the character design, and the name called to me, along with the name is a lot more adaptable to my birth name, if that makes sense. So that's one of the reasons why I chose that. I chose Jesse and not anything else. But yeah, then we got to having my appointment with Lorimer. Then after that, the biggest issue after that, I had to wait 4 weeks to get my to book. I had to wait for the report from Dr. Lorimer, and then get a endocrinologist appointment. For those who don't know what an endocrinologist is, that's who you go to for your hormone levels, hormone levels and prescriptions, because they're trained to look at the like your blood levels and see what adjustments are needed. So at that point, I believe that appointment cost me $280, because I know the entirety of the cost of setting or going with Gender GP is roughly around $550. So $300 for your initial appointment, which is your diagnosis, and then you need to get then the endocrinologist, which is a 1 hour long appointment where basically they went through my medical history. They asked questions. They asked about if I had. I can't remember. It starts with a G. So I think it's if I had like a hormone imbalance where I produced estrogen, which I didn't. And at this point, I was actually transitioning at 28. Is it 28, 29? Yeah, I think it was like 28 years old. But we've been 28, I think it was. I could be bad at maths. So either 28 or 29. And so yeah, after that, we went through that. The biggest issue I had was getting the share care agreement with my doctors. But the thing is, it wasn't my doctor's practice's fault. It was the CCG, which is the Care Commission group in the UK. Sometimes they can take a while to debate things. So that took about 12 weeks. And the first time I got my hormones was in July 2022. And at that point, I was only on 100 micrograms, and that stayed like that for 6 months. And then after that 6 months, I got put onto 200 micrograms. So the way I got my prescription was I got patches over gel or pill, because gels and pills have their own issues, such as gel has a absorbance issue, and pills can cause liver issues. But yeah, so when I picked up my first prescription, which was July the 18th, I believe it was July the 18th. No, June the 18th. June the 18th. Because there's a 6 month gap between when I start, roughly around a 6 month gap between when I started and my actual birthday. So yeah, ever since then, there's been a lot of changes. So I've noticed that my waistline has changed a lot from what it used to be. My face shape has changed as well. This might sound weird. I think my eyes have softened as well. But yeah, and then it was roughly about a year into my transition. I think it was like maybe a few months into my transition when I started getting laser hair removal for my face, because with transitioning at 28, I had quite a bit of facial hair at that point. I had plucked them at some point during like 2020, 2023. No, sorry, 2020, 2021, and trust me, that hurts. And yeah, the laser hair removal has worked. I still need to get some more treatments done, but I need to rebook those. Hopefully they're going to redo those soon. But yeah, like I said, I'm really glad I went with Gender Care, because I can't fault them. They have treated me well. I've had no major issues with them. And I do have an appointment coming up in a few weeks, actually, which I need to pay up. But yeah, I do hope my story has helped. I know I've glossed over a lot. I will be doing more videos in the future about this, so I'm going to be doing a bit of a breakup series, if that makes sense. So, like, where like before, what did I do before I transitioned? What did I do before I got onto hormones, and what changes I've noticed ever since I've been on hormones, because there's been quite a bit. Because at the current moment, as you can see, I've got my waist is a lot slimmer from from when I started, because I think there is still a few clips on my Twitch channel. But I've now actually fully switched over streaming onto YouTube. But yes. Also, if you're watching this in the beginning of March 2024, I've got an AMA. I'm going to be doing an AMA in the end of this month, where you guys get to ask me questions, and I will be answering them on a live stream. So yeah, please do check that out, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. And yeah, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel, so you guys get to see more of my updates. And I will see you next time, I guess.